today's video, I'll be going over 5 myths that I believed when I was getting into guns. When I was new, fresh, didn't know a thing about guns. These are some of the biggest lies that I believed. Now, I'm still very new to this. I've only been shooting, collecting guns for less than a year, 11 months. First time I went to the range would be beginning of June, so we're approaching a year. When it comes to firearms, there's a whole lot you need to know about guns, range, gun stores, buying guns, laws, self-defense, and all that crap. And I'm going over the 5 lies that I believe when it comes to all these things. Number 1, you can buy any gun you want. I mentioned this in my last video that when I first got into guns, I wanted an AK, M16, sawed-off shotgun, and like an Uzi. Like those are my top 4. I don't own any of those for reasons being you can't just buy any gun you want over the counter. And I believe this because when you're not educated on just firearms in general, you'll believe these idiots that say you can just buy any gun you want and just get it over the counter like buying a piece of candy. And I thought that's how it's going to be. It's going to be smooth, no background check. I pay like what, $500, maybe $1,000, and I just get whatever gun I want. But no, there were so many gun control laws that I was not aware of. So when it comes to machine guns, those cost tens of thousands of dollars that I just don't have. So that's off the list. M16 not happening. Full auto AK not happening. Uzi not happening. And when it comes to the sawed off, the barrel on any type of shotgun, it can't be under a certain length. And if you do, it needs to be like a NFA item, something like that. And that just costs even more money and takes a while to obtain all this stuff. So basically, my top 4 not happening unless I'm basically rich. What's a bitch for me is that I live in Maryland, which is not a very 2A friendly state. When you buy handguns, you have to get this HQL. You have to go to this class, have this application, fingerprints, and get all that just to say that you can use this to buy a handgun. And when you buy a handgun, you have to wait 7 days. Well, you have to also fill out this 77 form or whatever it's called. Wait 7 days, and then you can pick up your handgun, which is just dumb. And you also have to pay another $10 fee to the Maryland State Police, which is just unnecessary, unconstitutional. But that's what I deal with in my state. And because of that, before I even got a handgun, I got 2 rifles, first gun ever, shotgun, Maverick 88, and my second was this DTI AR-15. I didn't get my first handgun until August, and when I was able to get it, I got my beloved 44 Magnum. It's a Taurus, but it's a 44 Magnum. The next thing, which is probably the silliest one on the list, is that AR-15s are machine guns. Now, to anyone who knows about guns, yes, this is a very silly thing to believe. But when you don't know about guns and you listen to the media and the liberals say that AR-15 is this erasing machine, it's a military weapon, you kind of feel like it might be a machine gun. You kind of get this idea that, well, this is a machine gun. And first trip to the range, I rented one and I shot one. What I did, I held the trigger. So I thought we were just going to keep firing. It didn't, and I was just stunned, but I genuinely did think that it was a machine gun. But no, just a semi-automatic rifle. It's very basic. That was a bit of a letdown, but it's still a cool rifle. And the reason I do have, and the reason my first AR-15 I bought, only one I have right now, is that Delton, is because that's what they had at the gun range. It was the same gun I rented, so I might as well just get that same one, right? But to anybody who's just getting into firearms and you don't really know what is what, AR-15s are not this crazy weapon that the left is telling you they are. This third thing is probably the one that disappointed me the most because I thought that it was just very simple. I didn't know it was going to be this complicated when it comes to law, and that's self-defense with a gun. And you would think that, well, you can just have your gun, just carry it carry it wherever, and if somebody tries to harm you, you pull it out, use it on them, then you're good. You can say it's self-defense, and it's done. No, it's Nothing like that. It's a huge process. There's people who go to jail for life for the M word. I don't know if you can say it on YouTube or not. It's not like I'm famous anyway or monetized, but you go to jail for that and you're gone, even if it was self defense. And yeah, and you think it wouldn't be that way because everyone says, America and guns, and it just goes hand in hand. But how can someone who defends himself in a country that's so pro gun and go to jail for it like that? But there's repeat offenders who keep getting let off the streets no matter what they're doing. They get guns all the time. They go back in the street, get more guns, go back to jail. And they're not getting them legally, but I'm still saying someone who defends themselves, they're not given any leadway, but actual criminals are always let out on the streets. That's besides the point. I'm getting off the topic. Self defense is self defense no matter what. They put out these bullshit self defense laws just to lock people up for no reason because that's also America. Fourth part I will say is no recoil or minimal recoil. And or just when it comes to shooting a gun in general. So the thing about this is when you watch movies, because that's the only way that I knew about guns was movies. I've never been around guns up until last year. Is when you watch the movies, no matter what they're shooting, there's no recoil unless there's a scene meant to showing a recoil, like that part in Ride Along where Kevin Hart shoots a shotgun and he starts flying. It's only when they do scenes like that. Any other time, no matter what they're shooting, it just goes nothing. No matter handgun, rifle, shotgun, whatever. And like I said, first gun I've ever shot was 12 gauge shotgun. And I was ready for it because it's a shotgun. I know it's gonna go, and that's something I just got used to. But when I shot the AR, it just felt it surprised me because I wasn't ready for that super large recoil that it had. As a beginner, I know don't recoil like that, but I was a beginner. So yeah, it recoiled. I was like, well, that was heavy. It felt just like shooting a shotgun. But you do get used to it. And I'd say for anybody who's just getting started into it, getting started in firearms, is that don't believe the movies. All guns are going to have recoil. Even if you're shooting a 22 as a beginner, you're going to feel it because you never shot a gun. So it's just going to have that recoil and you'll get used to it no matter what you're shooting over time. The last thing I want to mention is the noise. Guns are loud. And when you first enter the gun range, it just sounds like you're in a war zone. It just sounds like bombs are going off left and right. And you get little jumps. And I went to an indoor range, so it's very loud. And again, my introduction to guns was movies. People shoot guns, they don't make a lot of noise, and especially when they have suppressors, but they try to market as silencers because that confuses people. They think you throw that on a gun, nobody can hear it, it makes a sound, but no, it still makes noise even with a suppressor. And my thing about this whole point is that if I was to use my gun in a self-defense situation, I wonder how loud that would be. Like if I used the shotgun, would that just blow my eardrums out and I'm deaf for life? Or even if I use my handgun, like how loud would that really be? I'm not going to go find out because I like having my hearing. But it's just one of those things that you kind of wonder. I'm sure somebody knows. Maybe they can inform me in the comments. That really concludes this video. If you're just getting into firearms, ask for help. I was doing all this by myself because that's how I did everything. Everything I do, I'm self-taught in. I'm still kind of in this self-taught phase of firearms, and eventually I will have to get some kind of training. But everybody can't do that. Get some help, go to a range, ask for training, instructions, and all that, and you'll be way further in your beginner stage than I definitely was slash am. But that's all I got for today, and I will see you in the next one.